From an undisclosed locations, for reasons of security and insecurity, we present to you MnRTV live show. And tonight we've got a special guest, a returning guest, Illuminati researcher and author Fritz Springmeier, who's going to be coming on at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about global water shortages and EMP attacks. A very, very interesting show. We're going to be talking about that tonight. It's a bit different from what we usually do, but it's all good. And before any further ado, I present to you the one and the only, from Montreal, the madman himself, McDonald Mario the Madman Coffee Monster. That's what they call you, by the way.
Who calls me that? You're the only one that calls me that.
They call you the coffee man, the coffee monster. You have your McDonald's coffee, and I've got my Illuminati cup with my coffee right in here, drinking.
But there's nothing wrong with us liking coffee. It's a bean. It's natural. It's grown. You know, you take it, you put it, you crush it, and then you drink it. It's fresh. It's refreshing. Me, I like it. I'm sure that there's millions of people out there that like it. But never mind about coffee. We need to get down to the business here. Okay?
And this show, yeah.
What?
And this show has been brought to you by the Montreal Anti-Illuminati Task Force in collaborations with 12160.info.
Yes, now that is way more important than whatever we love to do on our spare time.
Exactly, drink coffee, that's one of them. But tonight we've got a big show with Fritz Springmeier. Aren't you excited to get the author of this big book here? We're not going to be mostly talking about this, but this is one of his the most famous book that he's written, Bloodlines of the Illuminati, a 600-page book just about all the Illuminati families and everything. Great book. You could probably get it at Amazon and also on Infowars.com. And we're going to be having Fritz Springmeier on at 8:15. Now go ahead and do what you got to do.
Okay, now this is me. This is the guy that you hear talking behind the scenes, telling you exactly what I'm posting or what we're posting here on MnRTV live show. Because this is why you're here. It's because you want to hear what the media doesn't say, the mainstream. We're not the mainstream, by the way. We are
against the stream.
Pardon? We're underground. There you go. We're underground.
Well, we are underground. I mean, we're a location that we can't really be found, you know, undetected. Because we have... for security and insecurity, because we don't want NSA to find us as much as they probably could. We try as possible to shield ourselves away from the prying eyes of Google, the NSA, and all of that.
But we can't be too paranoid, because we can't be thinking that the world's against us, because the world's not against us. They're just asleep. That's all they are, unless we're here to wake people up, because that's what we like to do. We like to wake people up because you people are sleeping. Well, not the people watching the show, but not even the people. They're not watching the show. They don't want to watch the show. They don't want to hear about us. But we're going to tell you exactly what we know, so that you wake up and you got to share this video somehow. But anyhow, let's get into the intro, because that's what people want to know for the newbies. Right, Rob?
Yeah, because it's a worldwide transmission, and we've got already new people coming on the show tonight watching. So let's go and
do our thing. Okay, so now this is 12160. Right here, you're supposed to see the video. If you don't see the video, so that you play, just refresh, and it's there. And then right underneath, it's Chitango, where you can interact with us and ask questions to Fritz and whoever else out there is watching. You know, you can ask Fritz and us questions, and we'll try and answer it the best of our knowledge.
And relate to him the questions you might have when Fritz comes on at 8:15 tonight.
So now we suggest you bookmark this, or you'll find it even in the conspiracy talks. Somehow they're there. Okay, the next thing. This is the MnR Productions Mariolaur.ca. This is also with you know, the pins that we pin up. It's the same concept as 12160.
Exactly.
The channel there.
Except we've got more stuff. Like we've got like our old videos from 2006 and up.
Yeah, you know, it's like you can go and see our classic videos there. And like I was saying, you got our show right here. You just click there, and it's right there. You get to see the show, and then you got Chatango. So we can't forget about Chatango. Now here we got is the most spoken about pictures on the conspiracy talk, on both conspiracy talks, on Google Plus and on Facebook, because it's just a phase. So now let's start with this.
All right. Bush's war for oil, Obama's wars for peace, United Nations humanitarian help. And then what do we have here? They lied to us about the war. I know exactly what you mean. And then we have ghosts, the ghosts of these poor soldiers that went to war and they were lied to and they died, and there's their ghosts.
Well, they were just doing their job, but they thought they were being heroes. But they indirectly they are somehow they are heroes because they're thinking their intentions is good, but you know they're doing it because the people that are asking them to are bad. The people that are asking them to fight this war are evil. Now that's the problem. But these guys, you know, they should be acknowledged as they're trying to do what they think is right.
Exactly.
So that's it for that. Now there's this one that's been getting lots of talks.
To argue with a person who has renounced the use of reason is like administering medicine to the dead. Thomas Paine, English American political activist, writer, and revolutionary, which is true. When you try and argue with people that have no reasoning, it's hopeless. It's like talking to the dead. But talking
that's why we don't like. That's why there's many trolls out there. It's not even worth arguing. All we do is just grab them, get them out of the way, you know. And spammers too. We don't like. The next one. This is from our good buddy Russell Brand.
Russell Brand with the Queen. Russell Brand with his mentor. Russell Brand is just a puppet. 1 million mask march.
Well, it's with his master, Charles.
Prince Charles, yeah,
and
that's one of his masters, and the other one with the Queen.
And then he's out celebrating with these guys there. What are they called?
Anonymous.
That a mask? The guys.
Anonymous.
Yes, exactly, for sure. So you know, who do we trust in there?
I don't trust any of these people.
Now
that's for sure.
This story we had on last week, last week it was in part of the news. We had this.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida, encourage drinking until you puke. Illegal, feeding hungry people. Share because there is something very wrong with this picture.
Yeah,
it
is.
I shared it. That's the old man that got arrested for feeding, right?
Yes.
Feeding the homeless. He gets arrested for feeding the homeless.
See, that's what I do. I share stuff. I find them and I share them. Now, some people like what I share. Some people don't like what I share. Hey, you know, you can't get it all your way. The next one.
Oh, yeah. In Vietnam, corrupt politicians are executed. In America, they get re-elected. It's true, isn't it?
Yeah. Not that we want to kill these people, because us as conspiracy theorists and truthers and truth seekers, we don't want to see anybody die, right? We just don't want them killing us.
At least brought to justice, right?
Yeah.
Next one. Remember when everything sucked and then the government solved all our problems? Me neither.
Never. And that won't happen, because you know why? We are not supposed to rely on human beings to solve all our problems, because human beings cannot solve all of our problems. Even if you try hard, it's impossible. Human beings can't. That's why we can rely on the government. Now this one.
That next one right here. Only 2 people in history have their own symbols: Hitler and Obama. It's true. I've never seen Bush or the previous presidents have a sign. And look at the sign of Obama. It's like almost like an all-seeing eye.
Yeah, I can never understand that. Anybody leave a comment and tell me what exactly that sign is supposed to mean. And then this one's been going crazy, like 40
Oh
views.
yeah, this one's been being shared. Hello there, slaves. We are the powerful 1% and control your planet, presidents, and the media. We own the world's banking system. We are New World Order and plan to enslave the entire human population, killing 90%. And we will do it legally through wars, disease, vaccines, and more. Please sit back and watch us start World War III. There you have Rothschild, George Soros, Henry Kissinger, and David Rockefeller, and Evelyn Rothschild. Yeah, I said Rothschild.
The criminals.
Yeah, the banksters, yeah, and the two in the middle are not even as powerful as the other two. But they're all Illuminati, you know, and it's been going crazy that everybody's commenting on it. I shared on my wall, people have shared it. So that's going around, and I'm happy. I'm happy you have found this.
Yes, the next one is the conspiracy talk, where you know there's so many people joining and going crazy on it, and that's where you can find every
Well,
post in the future.
yeah, and we have 73 new members. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, but some of them we have to say no to because we know that they're spammers.
Exactly. So tonight, that's the pinned post. I always post up the latest show coming up, or when it's recorded, and that's tonight's show with Fritz Springmeier.
Yeah, and I could spend days. In fact, you know what? This is the reason why I'm on Facebook. It's because of this group. There's no other reason for me to be on Facebook. Sometimes I even forget to go on my home page because of this site.
It's really rocking, this group. Yeah, and we learn a lot of stuff, you know. Like we also learn, and look how well it went, eh?
Yeah, look, we even have Lisa Haven posting
On it and talking about the depression and what's going to happen. Pictures there. It just goes on and on. It's amazing. I'm really happy. I love this group, and a lot of people do. And I want to thank you guys for making it a success. The conspiracy talk.
Wait, there's a picture I want to. Okay, now let me show this to the audience. This picture.
Yeah. The midterm elections are finally over. Hysteria over. ISIS and Ebola magically disappear. Isn't it true? We don't hear about it anymore. I don't want to hear about it. Frankly, I'm sick of ISIS and Ebola.
No, but that, you know, I thought like I posted up on the blog, but it's not there. So I said, you know, but that's it. We got both conspiracy talks going there. Everybody loves it. Everybody is talking on there. Everybody is sharing. Everybody is waking up to what's happening out there in the world. But people, be nice on it. You know, be respectable. Don't spam. Don't troll on it. There's no reason to troll unless if you are, of course, a paid shill or. Or what's, you know, people have their reasons of being on here, but you know what, we don't tolerate that. So if you're gonna make a donkey hole of yourself, don't bother, because this is serious stuff. You know, just because you're not a slave, we are, and we're tired of being slaves. We're tired of running around like chickens without heads, just to earn a buck to survive. Doesn't make sense, and we're fed up with that. So if you like being a slave, or you're not a slave because you have everything going for you, this group is not for you. Stay out of it. Does that make sense, Robert? Did I try and explain myself properly?
Yeah, you explain yourself very good, you know. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's all good. All right, let's get into a bit of the news.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, here it is.
Relay probes reaches comet, makes space history.
This has been all over the news. Now, the reason why we're putting it on here is because we got to give our perspective on why this is happening. Now, why would they do this? Why would they put a robot on this planet? Because on this comet. Is it because, you know, comets, they go around in a big rear, what do you call it? What do you call it?
What?
They rotate. Again, they're on not an axis. But anyways, they come around. They come around like what, every 3,000 years? Some more, some less. Now, why? This is why I'm saying maybe they sent a robot
Yeah.
there. Rob,
Yeah.
oh, I think I may have lost one. Okay, you're there. I don't see you moving. Anyway, the reason why they did this is because they probably put a message on that bottle, like a message in a bottle on the comet, and so that when it comes back, they will be able to see what's on it. That's the unusual thing about this venture that they're doing. Because everything else they're saying, oh, it's because it's coming from another. It's like this is how life was created. But we know, like, they want proof that this is how life is created by a comet coming to this planet with bacteria and creating us humans and also creating um life. That's what they're saying. But I think it's the other way around. I honestly think it's because they're doing this because they want to see what's out there. That's why they're sending this whatever on this comet. Rob, welcome back.
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Let me just fix my name here on the thing and just keep talking about the comet.
No, but that I just gave my opinion on why they sent this comet. They sent this comet. I don't know
Okay.
if you heard what I was trying to say.
No, no, I didn't. Unfortunately, it didn't come through. Why did they?
Because it's like a message in a bottle. They put a note in a bottle, send it in, like how we do. We send a message in a bottle, put a note
Yeah,
inside the bottle and send it. It goes through the current to another place, to probably Europe. Well, this is why they're doing this, and they're saying, oh, it's because it's their way of finding out if what's on the comment, if it came back, if this is why we're created here on Earth, is because of this comet. That's their thing. But my thing is something else. That it's a message in a bottle. One day, in the future, someone will get this message.
we never know. We just never know who or what's gonna pick it up. That's for sure. All right.
By
So
the way, by the way, all the links that are appearing here, again, I have to repeat myself. They're all going to appear in the description underneath the video, and do leave comments. All right, the next thing, right? The
right
next
here,
news.
the
This,
next bit of information right here when it comes up on screen.
yeah, this has been going quite, our good buddy Google.
Google leases NASA air bases for robot planes and space exploration. Search firm signs 60-year, $1.1.6 billion lease to renovate 3 large hangars at NASA airfield outside of San Francisco, including historic Hangar 1.
Now, bro, you know what ticks me off? How many people are starving on this planet? Why is this money, or they're homeless, or they're having problems, making ends meet. Like just here today, I found out that there are many middle class people that can't afford their electricity, and they're without electricity thanks to the electricity meter, smart meter that they put.
Yeah,
So there's like so many people that can't afford it and they're middle class. Why is this money going on there? Why isn't it going to the average human being out there that's struggling to make things meet and that are having trouble surviving? You understand my point? Why are they wasting their money on this? So sad.
exactly. I don't know why they do this, but like, it's like people are, it's like space exploration is fine and everything, but when people are sick or they're dying, they're starving, it's just not right. Not right at all.
Anyways, I don't know if you have any comments to do with this,
No, I
Rob.
don't have any.
Like, look at all this, man. Come on. 20 million. Come on, man. This is like sick. It's disgusting. It's so sad. It's like it breaks my heart that they're doing this. First, take care of the needy, then you waste your money on stuff like this. But anyhow, we won't get deep into that because
Yeah,
I
exactly.
still had to say
All
we.
right.
We said what we had to say. Now we're going to be going into my favorite topic in the news, I should say, and it's on UFOs. Because what's
Open Mind.
MnRTV live show,
That is a good website.
Rob,
Right?
what's MnRTV live show without talking about UFOs? What?
It's like Superman without his cape, you know.
Open minds. That's what we are here on MnRTV live show. We're open-minded. If you're not open-minded, this show's not for you.
And there's a lot of people I know that are closed-minded, and that's not good at all, you know. All right, the home feature UFO abducts a car. Is that in North Dakota?
It's pretty freaky. It's very freaky. It's only 1:13, but watch it after you watch this show. And it's like out of this world. It's like, how the hell did they abduct a car? What are they going to do with a car? They cannot do reverse engineering on a car, because why would they want something that's earthling, right?
Exactly. A recent video shows a car driving down a quiet street when all of a sudden a flash of light is seen and the car vanishes from sight. This video was uploaded to YouTube on Friday, November 7th by user The Paranormal Frequency with the title UFO OVNI. OVNI in French means UFO, something like that. A car gets abducted in Cavalier, North Dakota. The only details provided with the video comes from the video's description that states a security camera in Cavalier, North Dakota caught the strange event that looks as though a car has been abducted by UFO or something else.
And I'm sure they don't want to abduct it for the gas, because they don't need gas. They're probably more into water. They probably want more water or gold, because gas is like just for us humans.
And we don't even, yeah, exactly. It's not even healthy.
Now this is an intriguing story, eh, Rob?
It is. I'd like to see the video. Although this appears to be many who believe the authenticity of this video, there are many red flags simply indicating that this incredible video is a simple hoax. I'd have to see the video and look at it, but...
It's legit to me, man. I don't know. How did they make the car disappear?
I know, but the thing is, nowadays it's very hard to see what's real and what's not real. But yeah, you got to check it out, you know. And look, it says UFO caught during live BBC and President Obama's shape-shifting reptilian agenda.
Yeah, but you know what? We want people to give their feedback and tell us what you think after you watch this video.
Exactly, because they said that this user put something about President Obama's shape-shifting. Hey, that could be true. Shapeshifters could be true. Reptilians. I mean, we've never seen it, but there's a strong possibility that there is something out there.
Anyhow, that's it for that, because there's just so much. There's just so much in the news. It's unreal, unbelievable. Now, it's like, wow, when I see these things, it's like mind-boggling. Gets me going, gets me thinking. It's like it makes me think. Okay, the next thing, and this I seen also the video.
This one here. Plane passengers records speeding circular UFO zooming beneath the jet he was in as it flies over Iran. Eerie footage shows mysterious circular object over West Asian nation. Clip filmed by passengers shows craft moving at high speed through clouds. Shape and movement of objects suggests it may be an Iranian military drone. Iran held first test flight of similar-looking drones earlier this week. Yeah, I've heard about Iran. There's something there, and there's been mysterious sightings for the past couple of weeks, months, and I think there's something down there that they want, right? There's like you explained once on the show. There's like there might be a portal or something.
Either a portal, or there's something there that the military wants. They're looking for. They can't find, and that's the reason. Another reason why they're there next to the so-called oil. This gives them another reason of going there. But no, I believe that there's something there in Iran. And I've noticed something. Wherever there's pyramids, there's always problems.
For sure.
You could see on this video right there, that's where the circle, it went right underneath the plane. I suggest everybody, you know, when you get a chance, take a sneak peek at it. It's not a long video.
You'll enjoy it. That's for sure. It's only I think a short clip of 34 seconds.
Yeah, it's not long. It's not long at all.
You know, there's so much UFOs. If we wanted to, we could actually do just shows on UFOs per week, you know, and well, they'll never run out of stuff. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, but Rob, that is exactly why I'm posting these things on UFOs, because I just keep finding them, and I'm like,
it ties into Illuminati, New World Order, like a puzzle. All right, and now are you able to get X-Files? UFO expert says the point may attract aliens and could be a sign of ancient gods returning to Milton Keys. And there's the UFO right there, the prototype UFO, and there's the alien. As we potentially bid farewell to the point, one of Milton Keys' most recognizable landmarks, one question is still unanswered. Speculation on the building being connected to extraterrestrial activity and the Illuminati have been circulating around the iconic structure for some time. But is there any truth in these theories? Nick Pope, who investigated UFO sightings for the Ministry of Defense, says it's certainly a striking building. And if you believe the alien theory, one could see why UFOs might be attracted to pyramid-like structures. Well, of course, there is a connection between pyramids and the ancient gods.
And haven't you not noticed we were talking about pyramids and UFOs and Iran and Iraq?
Just like this article.
And then we just stumble upon this because it's like we're running around in circles, you know?
Like I said, it all ties in. Biblical prophecy, conspiracies, aliens, UFOs, paranormal. It ties into like a jigsaw puzzle. We just have to put it here and put it there, you know?
Yeah, so this is very interesting piece of news. I think I have 2 articles to do with, or news bits to do with UFOs, because you know I just love UFOs. This is another one now.
Spacecraft secret Mars mission discussed at UFO
meeting.
Yeah,
because it's. I'll just meet at UFO meeting.
Okay, I didn't see the UFO meeting. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No. UFO researchers addressed such big questions as whether there's life on Mars and invisible beings at the 17th International UFOlogy Congress in Capilla del Monte, an Argentine city located 800 kilometers west of Buenos Aires. The 4-day gathering, which ended on Sunday, drew Argentine and foreign UFO researchers to discuss progress in their work, personal experiences, and audio-visuals, records of contacts with aliens, spacecraft, with the nearly 200 Afroyendos who attended the Congress. We fulfilled the objective of demystifying Mars and showing that we may be closer than we think, Congress organizer Luz Mary Lopez told Spanish news agency. Well, it's true. We might actually be closer than we actually think to what's going on with alien contact. I believe there's been alien contact a long time ago.
And for all we know, there still might be alien contact.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree. You?
I definitely agree. Anyhow, that's it with that. There's just so much information out there. Like what you said, we could just do a show just on.
We could do a show every week just on UFOs if we wanted to.
Now the next one again is from Open Minds.
Open Minds. Witness says San Andreas fault is UFO major corridor. That's in California, right?
Yeah.
San Andreas fault, and isn't there supposed to be an earthquake? There's like supposed to be one day a major earthquake, and isn't California supposed to sink in?
That's what they're saying, or go underneath water or whatever.
Yeah, or something sink like Atlantis, you know. So UFO, sand bears, fault, earthquakes. It all has and more stuff that ties in, just more and more. A California witness at El Centro reported watching an extremely slow-moving, massive-sized UFO that seems to be traveling along a major corridor for UFOs, according to testimony in case 61325 from the Mutual UFO Network MUFON witness reporting database. You know, the whole summer I was watching MUFON stuff on the History Channel, and I think there might be a MUFON in Montreal. We should go to one of those meetings if we get the chance and talk and see more about UFOs. Maybe get somebody from MUFON coming on our show. Would you like that?
I would love it. But Rob, I noticed something here. Okay, notice the crack in the earth. These I should say fallen angels, right? What is that, like their way of going down to the depths of hell?
Talking about the demons or the fallen angels or the Nephilims?
No, the fallen angels, the aliens, the fallen angels. Those
are the children. The fallen. Sorry, I was gonna the fallen angel aliens. Maybe that's their way because their sons, the demons, are spirits already. That's a good point that you bring here, and it's very possible that through cracks that they go under.
The depths of hell.
I really not an expert in this, but we should get some experts on this. They would probably be able to answer. Especially we have an expert on giants and Nephilims, which we should get back on our show very soon. Do you agree?
Yeah, we will, and I do agree. And
next article right here. Next piece of information.
Yes. It's nothing to do with UFOs, but...
Using 3D printers to print out self-learning robot.
That's it, you got it. It's on robots.
Okay, look at this technology right here. When the robots of the future are set to extract minerals from other planets, they need to be both self-learning and self-repairing. Researchers at Oslo University have already succeeded in producing self-instructing robots on 3D printers. On the third floor of the Department of Informatics, there is a robot laboratory which looks like a playroom. This is where researchers are testing how the robots can figure out how to move past barriers and other obstacles.
Now, the reason why I posted this up, and you see I highlighted it, notice, they want to send robots, which I haven't seen any yet, but they want them to do the dirty work by going to other planets. Like, it's not enough. The military is doing that here, like going to Africa, invading Africa for diamonds. No, now they want robots to go on other planets and bother the Martians on other planets or extraterrestrials on other planets. You see, it says it right here. This is why they're in Africa. People, wake up. They're there to extract minerals from Africa. They're there to start Ebola. And they started Ebola for that. Does that make sense or what?
Yeah. Well, yeah. What was that? There was. What did they want? They wanted minerals. Was there something else that they wanted?
Diamonds.
Diamonds. Yeah. Diamonds, minerals, whatever you want to call it. But there's a reason why they're down there.
Now we're going to fall into Bigfoot.
Bigfoot right here. Bigfoot evidence and sightings. 2014. Florida man wins $100,000 in research money to hunt creature. Wouldn't that be interesting if we could go to Florida and hunt this creature down?
Yeah, good luck in finding him because he goes through all kinds of portals, and that's why he...
Dimensions probably, but we can't find him. David Laurer is a Florida hunter on a mission. After winning a $100,000 research grant on Spike TV's reality competition, $10 million Bigfoot bounty, Laurer has a strengthened resolve to find Bigfoot. The Mandarin outdoorsman says that after he and his hunting partner Stacy Brown won the prize money, he invested it into high-tech hunting gear, including game cameras, night vision recorders, heat-seeking telescopes, DNA testing kits, and a dart gun and plaster. He hopes these tools will help him track down the mysterious Bigfoot. Well, good luck. That's all I've got to say for him.
Why waste anyways? I mean, good luck in trying to find Bigfoot.
And if he does, yeah, and if he does, well, perhaps he could come on our show and we could discuss it. Until then, good luck and hope all for the best in capturing this elusive creature that's been elusing us for many, 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 many years. And now, next information right here from World Truth TV.
Yes.
Yeah. The top of the pyramid, the Rothschilds, the British Crown, and the Vatican rule the world. Yes,
like,
sir.
we don't know this. We don't know this, but we...
Yeah, exactly. Just all these three branches. There are two opulent crowds in England. One belonged to Queen Elizabeth II. All extremely wealthy, the Queen functions largely in a ceremonial capacity and serves to deflect attention away from the other crown, who issues her marching orders through the control of the English Parliament. This other crown is comprised of a community of 12 banks, headed by the Bank of England, House of Rothschild. They rule the world from the 677-acre independent sovereign state known as the City of London, or simply the City. The City is not part of England, just as Washington, D.C. is not part of the USA. And this is all true, folks. And this is an extremely important, great article that you put up right there. And look at the emblem right there. The what do you call it?
Armor.
Coat. Yeah, that's the coat of armor. The city is referred to as the wealthiest square mile on earth and is presided over by Lord Mayor, who is appointed annually. When the Queen wishes to conduct business within the city, she is met by the Lord Mayor at Templar Bar, where she requests permission to enter this private sovereign state. She then proceeds into the city, walking several paces behind the mayor. Her entourage may be clothed in anything other than service uniforms. Wow. In the 19th century, 90% of the world's trade was carried by British ships controlled by the Crown. As of 1850, Arthur Frederick Morton estimated Rothschild's fortune to be in excess of 10 billion. Today, the combined wealth from the banking dynasties is estimated around 500 trillion, and that is true. And there's Rothschild, Nathan Rothschild, back in the day. The man who controls Britain money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the British money supply. Nathan Rothschild. Today, the bonded indebtedness of the world is held by the Crown. So we're all well indebted to this person, are we not?
Yeah, they were all slaves to him.
Exactly, and we've never met him. The Inner Temple holds the legal system franchise by license that bleeds Canada and Great Britain white, while the Middle Temple has license to steal from America. And you know what's funny? Aren't we still part of the colony?
No, but you know what? Indirectly, but directly, we still belong to the Rothschilds, and that's it.
Somebody in the chat room said, throw the reptile out of Canada. Well, she's in England, actually.
Anyways, I mean, this is a big article.
Don't they look like reptiles, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll post it up on the Conspiracy Talk so people can check it out for themselves, you know. I mean, it's a long article and we don't have much time.
No, we gotta go on break and then we'll get Fritz on, so.
But I just have like 2 quick articles that I want to talk about, and this is one of them.
The UN declares arms trade treaty to go into effect December 24th. On its official website, the United Nations Office for the Disarmament Affairs, that really is. I can't see. Yeah, it's getting smaller.
Just keeps getting smaller. Hold on.
Oh, that I can't. I really can't read now. I know. Glasses or no glasses. Wow. Technical difficulties, folks.
There, I guess I'll just leave it like this. Could you see it now?
Yeah. Merry Christmas. On its official, the United Nations Office of Disarmament. Yes, that's really a thing, and it's housed right here in the United Nations. Announced that the UN's armed treaty will enter into force on the 24th of December 2014. Merry Christmas.
So keep that in mind. Keep that as a note. We won't get too much into it.
No, we can't. Exactly. So just remember what it says. anonymously.
Get disturbed. I'm sure many people will
When people will be thinking of the holidays and stuff, don't be thinking of this on the 24th.
I mean, I don't want. It will get people pissed off, but and this is the final one before we call Trish up.
The esoteric meaning of Lucifer. There are comments on the World Wide Web claiming that Lucis Trust was once called the Lucifer Trust. Such was never the case. However, for a brief period of 2 or 3 years in the early 1920s, when Alice and Foster Bailey were beginning to publish the books published under her name, they named their fledgling publishing company Lucifer Publishing Company. By 1925, the name was changed to Lucis Publishing Company and has remained so ever since. Both Lucifer and Lucis come from the same word root. Lucis meaning the Latin generative cause meaning of light. So there you go, folks. That's exactly what it means.
Light bearer. It says it right there, so now you know.
Like Lucifer, who the elites, Illuminati, high up 33rd degree Masons, and all of them worship this. But anyhow, we better get.
Everybody is up to date, Rob. That's what I want to say. Everyone is up to date.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna call Trish up, go on break, and then we will have Mr. Fritz Springmeier returning to our show.
Yes, we will. And I know people don't like it when we call Trish up, but too bad. We're going to keep calling Trish up because we love it and she loves coming up. And she is. Here is Trish.
Springmeier has written and self-published a number of books based on the subject of mind control. He has endorsed the existence of Project Monarch, an alleged CIA mind control project whose existence is based on the assertions of Kathy O'Brien. 5-6 Project Monarch is not mentioned in reviews of MKUltra, its alleged parent program, because most MKUltra records were deliberately destroyed in 1973 by order of then CIA Director Richard Helms. It has been difficult, if not impossible, for investigators to gain a complete understanding of the more than 150 individually funded research of projects sponsored by MKUltra and related CIA programs. 7-8 In 1977, Richard Helms was convicted of failing to testify fully about the U.S. government's anti-government activities abroad and illegal surveillance domestically. 9 Springmeier's early work, The Watchtower and the Masons, focuses on the relationship between Jehovah's Witnesses and Freemasonry. In this book he describes a relationship between Charles Taze Russell and the so-called Eastern Establishment. Springmeier followed these links into Masonry and did a further examination of the Eastern Establishment.
Oh, thank you very much, Trish. I mean, I'm sorry if people out there don't appreciate you being here and doing exactly what you do, talking, because you have such a beautiful voice. We appreciate you being here.
Exactly, for sure. It's great to have, and some people, don't appreciate. They can't appreciate what the heck's going on, and it's really sad that they'd have to be like this, It's Trish, and somebody said Trish the Dish. That's a fine name.
Trish is amazing. I'm glad people out there appreciate her.
Exactly, and I'm gonna get in connection very soon with Fritz Springmeier, and we'll be talking about global water shortages and EMP attacks.
Now that's very scary when you think about it, eh, Rob?
Oh yeah, very global, because we all need water. I mean, three-fourths of our bodies is water, if I'm correct, and also the planet. There's more water than anything. EMP attacks, yeah, that's it. All right.
We do need water. We do need, electricity. We tend to take electricity for granted, but it is very, very, very important.
Oh, yeah. All right. So I'm going to get in connection with Fritz.
Yes, and we're looking forward to that.
We are. Hi, Fritz.
Hey, Robert.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, thank you. And how are you doing?
I couldn't be better, and my partner Mario's here too.
Hey Fritz, nice to hear from you again. It's always a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
So, how have you been before we begin the show? Welcome to the MnRTV live show tonight, and we'll be talking about global shortages and EMP attacks and a lot more. So, how have you been?
Well, you know, I'm just like everybody else. I go through all of the same problems everybody else has, but I'm still here.
Yeah, well, we're all still here, are we not?
Yep.
Exactly.
Robert, how are you doing?
Well, besides a few minor health issues, I'm doing good. Doing pretty good. Can't really complain. All right, so Fritz, what's new with you? Anything much? Anything in the research that you've been doing? A lot of people want to know what you've been up to.
Well, for a number of reasons, you know, I got into studying water, and that wasn't by accident. Of course, my father, who's an engineer, and my father was capable of designing equipment and bridges and a lot of things, but he specialized in water resources and as an ag engineer. And so I have been around, you know, farming, and my dad working with water resources. So I have some background in it. And then this thing happened in California where they started a statewide rationing program. And they don't like to call it rationing, so they call it allocation-based rate structure. That's a nice big long term.
It is, yeah, but, sounds very fancy.
Yeah. And then they're fining people if they use more than 50 gallons a day per person, but they don't call it fines, they call it strong price signals.
Oh my God.
Strong price signals. Hey, we're going to give you a strong price signal here. How's this? How about a $200 strong price signal? Huh? Or, you know. So anyway, a lot of people don't realize how much water a person uses, and I had to look it up when I started researching. But San Francisco, before this water rationing thing, the average person per day was using 152 gallons. So if they're going to be cut back to 50 gallons, they're going to have to feel the crunch, you know, because it's going to change their lifestyle. But that whole situation with the water being short, people in the United States have taken water for granted, and they don't realize that not only here in the United States, especially in Western United States, but throughout the entire globe, we're moving towards a serious water shortage. Because what people have been doing in all these different countries, it doesn't matter whether you were talking about Africa or India or you know, all of these different countries, they're pumping water out of the ground. You know, they sink a well, and then everybody just pumps as much water as they can. But the thing of it is you have these underground aquifers, and when everybody's pumping, you may be going down 15, 20 yards a year or something. That water table's going down, and all throughout the world, the water tables are being lowered, and the water in the aquifers are being drained, and within 20 years they'll all be dry. And so here, you know, when I was in high school, people were saying, "Oh, the world's going to end up in 10, 20 years with mass starvation," and they had all of this scary predictions, you know. Well, it didn't happen. Oh, why didn't it happen? Well, one of the big reasons it didn't happen is people got better. Pardon me? Pardon me?
I didn't say a word.
Oh, okay. Well, one of the reasons why there wasn't this mass starvation is people started using better growing better kinds of crops, more productive varieties, and they started pumping this water out. And you know, one of the things involved with pumping water backfired, and that was UNICEF. You know, they were looking at India and Bangladesh, and they're like, man, all of these cities don't have, these towns don't have any wells. You know, these people are just depending on surface water, on the rivers. And of course, if you've ever been in India, you know what the rivers are like. If you go to the holy Ganges, the Ganges River, you know, is holy, and people like to take little samples of water, you know, because it's considered holy. But you'll see dead animals, you'll see poop, you'll see all kinds of stuff floating in that. And that's the kind of water that people have been drinking. So UNICEF goes, okay, we're going to rescue all these people. We're going to put in, you know, almost 1 million wells. They drilled wells all over India. They drilled wells all over Bangladesh, and nobody bothered to check the water that was coming out of those wells. In India, down in the bedrock is excuse me.
It's okay.
Is fluoride, and so this fluoride is in a large share of the wells that UNICEF, along with the World Bank, created. So there's like 60 million people in India that are suffering from fluoride poisoning. Now, this is very interesting. I want to point this out to Americans, because so many people here in America get on the bandwagon. Oh, we need fluoride in our water.
Right.
Yeah, right. Have you ever seen what happens when you have fluoride poisoning? It turns your legs bow-legged and lame. It makes your bones all weird. It weirds your bones out. And there's people that are not even able to walk. And the elderly people, they become hunchback because of the fluoride. So you got 60 million people in India that have fluoride poisoning.
And I bet they don't even know.
And then across the border in Bangladesh, their problem with their wells is they get arsenic leaching in because there's arsenic in the ground. So 77 million people in Bangladesh have arsenic in their water. There's like people don't know what to do, you know. I mean, what are we going to do? This is the only water we have, and nobody's stepping in to really seriously turn this around. So, I mean, these people are dying like flies, and I guess that's part of what the globalists want, is for people to die like flies.
Yeah, well, they're inventing all kinds of sicknesses, illnesses, and wars and rumors of war, you know.
Exactly. So back to United States, you know. Well, let's mention Canada, because you're in Canada.
Right.
Canada is sitting pretty well. You've got all kinds of lakes. You've got all kinds of rivers. All across Canada, you got plenty of water. But there's been several times that the Americans have wanted to see if we could get some of your water, because United States is short on water. Except if you're in Michigan. Michigan's got plenty of water. It's got water in its lakes. The Great Lakes are doing well. So there's water there. In fact, Michigan is exporting water to China. You know, so there's a few places that are doing well. Canada's doing well water-wise. America would like to get some of Canada's water. Here, I'm in Oregon. We're doing okay, but one thing too, because I always investigating the elite, you know, the Illuminati, and there's big money involved in water. And one of the things that's been going on recently for me, Robert,
right,
is and this involves the Illuminati.
Okay.
And there was this guy, and his girlfriend was the one who controlled all of the dams in Northwest America, like Bonneville Dam here in Oregon.
Okay.
And these dams, not only do they provide some water, but they also provide electricity, you know. And so your electric rates are tied in with how much water is being released from these dams. And they gauge how much water they're going to release. I don't know the exact formula, but obviously it has to do with how much rainfall and water is coming down the rivers and blah, blah. And so she would write on slips of paper what she was going to do and pass those on to these bigwigs, these Illuminati elite types. And so you got a case of insider trading there, Robert, because they know what the price of electricity is going to be. They got some inside deal there. Anyway, what happened with her is she got murdered, and her boyfriend was really upset because the police didn't want to investigate the murder, and the people that they said murdered, they got like a year in prison, 14 months, something like that.
So it was like a setup.
Robert, they made me do 8 years for knowing about a bank robbery, and these people supposedly killed this woman, and who was she was very intelligent, you know, blah blah blah, and I mean she wasn't just a bag lady out on the street or something, you know. She was somebody who had been prominent in our culture, and she gets murdered, she gets shot, and the police don't even investigate it, and then the courts don't even give any genuine time to these people. Pretty amazing. So he was pretty upset. He's trying to figure out what in the heck went on in this thing, you know, because he was your normal person, you know, walking in the street, la-di-da, that there's nothing wrong, you know. I mean, most people, you know, they go through their life, they don't realize their government's corrupt. They don't believe that there's anything wrong with their churches. I mean, they got blinders on, you know. I mean,
yeah.
Something like 9/11 happens, like, okay, let's believe the official story. Or if their doctor tells them something, well, he must know what's right because he's the doctor. You know, they don't think for themselves. So he's just your common everyday person, but nothing's adding up, you know. I mean, it's like, what the heck? The police don't want to investigate this? And he thought the police would be interested. He's trying to give the police clues, and they're not interested. In fact, they get angry at him. And so then he keeps researching, and he bumps into my research, and he realizes that my research starts putting the pieces together for him, right?
Right.
So it turns out that his woman was a programmed multiple. And that makes total sense. Because if you're going to have somebody that's controlling all these dams and lakes and water, you're going to want someone there with Illuminati mind control, right?
Right.
And even here in Portland, we've got this guy, Nick Fish. He comes from an elite family back east. He moves over here and becomes a city councilman and takes over housing and water here in Portland, and then starts running a bunch of scams. So I guess what I'm saying there is our listeners out there, if you want to check on where some of these elite are making money, start looking into the water resources, right? Because you know, it's got Portland can't be the only place where these people are crooked. They've got to be running scams in other places too.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't the Bush family invest in water? The Bush family, they bought like a lot of water places for water.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I thought I researched that a while ago. So there must be a reason why they did that.
Yeah, and then there's that guy in Colorado. You know who I'm talking about? That was so famous a few years ago. He was buying up water rights. Yeah, they know that there's going to be severe shortages in Western United States. Well, it's already happening. In fact, what they have done doesn't even, and actually, you can't blame the elite for this. This is something that the common person's done. The common person pumped water out and used water, recklessly. It's not something we can just blame on the controllers. But we've been consuming water like it was going to be there for the rest of our lives. But Southern California, you got these huge cities that were built on deserts. You got Phoenix. Phoenix is got four. In Phoenix, the size of Phoenix, which I lived there, but when I lived in Phoenix, I was at the federal prison. But I still lived there for a couple of years, out in the desert. But Phoenix is 400 square miles. It's a huge city, and it's got over 3 million people in it, and it's built on a desert. I mean, the cactus there. Did you know that those cactus are protected by law?
No, I did not know that. Really?
If you hurt one of those big sequoia cactus, you get fined. It's like $1,000 fine if you hurt one of those cactus. But anyway, I didn't realize that until I moved down there that the cactus, you can't. If you took your gun and shot one of those cactus and somebody saw you, you'd be major fined. But anyway, it's built on a desert, and how are they getting their water? Well, they built this huge, this huge canal, and it goes right up to the Colorado River, and then they bring the water down to the Phoenix area, but there's no longer any water to bring down because the Colorado River isn't flowing like it used to. When they first built those dams, like the Hoover Dam, there was 16.5 million acre-feet of water flowing down the Colorado. But they've been using so much of it that now in recent times there's only been 3 million. And when they first set it up, they said that the 4 upper states that were on the Colorado, which is Colorado and Utah and Wyoming and New Mexico, they gave them 7.5 million feet. They gave the lower states, which is California, Arizona, and Nevada, they gave them 7.5 million acre feet of water. And then they gave Mexico, which is at the tail end of the Colorado River, they gave them 1.5 million. Well, Mexico doesn't get anything now because the Colorado doesn't even flow that far. The Colorado is used up before it gets anywhere near Mexico, and there isn't anything to divide up, And so you've got these huge, massive cities of millions of people. Like, look at Las Vegas, And I had a friend that went to Las Vegas recently at a casino, and Robert, the little bottle of water that you can get in the store?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, how much do you think that he had to pay for a bottle of water in the casino?
Don't tell me like $4 or something.
It was $9.
What? $9 a bottle of water?
Yeah, $9 for one of those little bottles of water. And
can you imagine there's probably fluoride in it and all kinds of chemicals to begin with in that bottle? It's almost you have to be rich just to buy a bottle of water when it's a natural earth resource God-given, and they charge so much for water.
Yeah, he was outraged. I don't think he wants to go back to Las Vegas.
No, but I guess they figure people that go to a casino can spend the money that spend money on gambling could spend money on water, but that's ridiculous.
So where this is going to really hurt us in the future is as the water tables all over the world dry up, why the farming is going to become extinct. You know, my mom's people were farmers in western Kansas, and when I was a freshman in high school, they were talking about how the Ogla aquifer was going to dry up, and you know, it's hard to when you hear these kind of predictions, it's like you want to believe that somehow somebody's going to find a way to avoid the disaster, right?
Right.
Well, it happened just like they were predicting. So my uncle, when he was farming back then, when I was in high school, he irrigated his fields of wheat, and now his son, who's taken over the farm, is dry land farming. You don't get anything near what you get when you irrigate. I mean, you still can get some crop, and it's better than leaving the ground unused, fallow. But you know, this is what we're looking at around the world, is all of this massive amount of food that's been keeping the world from starving it's not going to be produced because there's not going to be water to keep this. I think about 1/10 of the world's food is produced by water that's coming from underground. In other words, when these aquifers dry up within the next couple decades, 1/10 of the food that's being produced worldwide is not going to be there. But that's not the only story, because that's the underground water. But the rivers are drying up too. Like, see, in Israel, what the Israelis did is when they kicked the Palestinians out and they took over,
Right.
they started pumping the water out along the coast. Well, that ran out, so then they took over the Sea of Galilee and the Jordan. And one of the reasons why they were, you know, back then when they fought that war, the 6-Day War, so that they could take over
In 67,
the Golan Heights.
Yeah.
Why the reason they didn't say this, but one of the major reasons why they wanted to take over the Golan Heights is so they could control the water that went into the Sea of Galilee and into the Jordan. And then they just ignored the nation of Jordan, and they just pumped the Jordan River dry. When I went to Israel in 1974, the Jordan River was like a little creek, you know.
Okay.
And it's gotten even less. And so it's not even running into the Dead Sea. So the Dead Sea has now become 2 seas. It's shrunk. A large share of the Dead Sea is gone, and it's become saltier, of course, and it shrank into 2 little puddles because the Israelis are pumping out massive amounts of water, and there's nothing flowing into the Dead Sea, so it's drying up. It wasn't very fun to be in the Dead Sea anyway, because when I went there in 1974, you know, I had been seeing these National Geographic pictures where people floated in the Dead Sea while they were reading a magazine.
Yeah,
it looked kind of fun, right?
Right.
So I'm like thinking, I'm going to go and see how this is. You know, I'm going to try this out. Well, when I went there in 1974 to the Dead Sea, the place, it was like a restaurant, and then from the restaurant to the Dead Sea, you had to walk like 100 yards in knee-deep muck, all right? So you walked through this muck, and then you finally got to this brackish, it looked worse than toilet water. And I was thinking to myself, well, no wonder you don't sink. This thing is brownish, like sewer water. it stinks and it's thick.
It's poisonous. It's poisonous.
Yeah, it was definitely that too. Yeah, it was yucky. And that, speaking about yucky, that's what the Palestinians in the Gaza are getting. They're getting this really brackish, yucky water. And there's only 35 gallons per person in the Gaza. And the reason why the Palestinians on the West Bank and Gaza don't have any water is because the Israelis are taking it all.
What are you supposed to do? What are they supposed to do with this water that's all murky? It's good for nothing, obviously.
Oh yeah, that's what the Israelis are leaving the Palestinians with. Of course, the Israelis could care less whether the Palestinians live or die. So, I guess all's fair in love and war. And you don't hear the Palestinian side of things in our news media.
No, we don't, because it's all controlled.
Yeah.
It's all censored and controlled. And it's just it's not right to have water like that that's brown and dirty and smelly and everything. I mean, you might as well not give any water.
Right. And the Israelis could provide the Palestinians with more water, but they just don't care about it. They would rather take that water that they're getting, that they're pumping out of the area, and use it on their farms to grow tomatoes and oranges that they're going to export, rather than let the Palestinians have a good water to drink.
It's just the water's so important, It's from an earth resource, and then you have people all over the world, I guess, doing these sort of things. Poisonous water, contaminated water. I mean, how much fresh water is there in the world to begin with? With all the pollution that we're throwing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is this globe, this planet is called the water planet,
right?
Because there's lots of water, but when you actually start looking at percentages, 97% of the water is salt water, which is unusable. But of the 3% that's fresh water, almost all of it's tied up in ice on the poles, in the Arctic or Antarctica, or is not available. And then most of the freshwater rain actually rains in the ocean, so we don't even get the benefit of the rain. I'm thinking there might be some way, maybe somehow, somebody will learn how to catch all that rain, that freshwater rain that's raining on the oceans, and maybe send that to the land. But we're not restocking in Western United States anyway. Our lakes and our rivers and our underground water, we're just using them up rapidly. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, do you think that, I know this is a wild question here, but it's popping on my mind, so I might as well ask it. Do you think that the United States will invade Canada to get that water?
No, but that's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, when people start getting desperate, they start doing crazy things.
Right.
And that might trigger. I know a lot of Americans are not interested in India or Pakistan because they think, oh, what's that got to do with me? But it's got a lot to do with us. And India and Pakistan have had 3 major wars against each other. And they got a really big problem going on because India is taking the water from the Ganges, and 90% of, I said that wrong, the Indus River, 90% of Pakistan's water comes from the Indus River, but India's taking it. India's put all of these dams on the Indus River, and they're using the dams to stop the water as well as for electricity. But Pakistan needs that water, and they've been accusing India of using water as a form of terrorism. and in Pakistan they're having problems with their people fighting each other over water, and their people are very restless because there's not enough water, and so we might see a war break out between India and Pakistan over that water because there isn't enough water for both countries, and something's going to have to give, and both countries are trying to put in desalination plants, but that's not going to deal with the problem because there's so much need there with so many people. And if you had a war break out between India and Pakistan, then you're going to have a bunch of other countries sucked into it, and
Right.
so that kind of a war could cause major disruptions in the world. It even has the potential. I'm not going to say it would happen, but it does have the potential of even escalating like World War I into a world war. If one country after another started jumping in the fighting, it could get out of hand. I'm not predicting that it would, but but I would also say that it's not inconceivable that a war between Pakistan and India wouldn't get out of hand, and so it should concern Americans that there's this major problem over there that can't be solved because there's just simply not enough water, and there's more people than there is water, and right now India is taking it before it gets to Pakistan.
But the elites themselves do have enough water for themselves, don't they?
Who?
The elites, the Illuminati, the New World Order. They have enough water for themselves, I would imagine.
The 400 richest people in the world have over $1 trillion. Yeah, they can go to Las Vegas and pay $9 for
A bottle.
a bottle of water and not even blink. But yeah, when you're rich, you don't have to worry about those kinds of things.
Exactly, but I'm sure they have their own reservoirs of water, fresh water, in case something happens, like underground bunkers and whatnot.
Oh yeah, and they have the political clout to push other people around.
Yeah, or silence them if they get too much in the way.
Yeah. So that goes back to what I was talking about, that guy, Fish here in Portland, who came from the East. They just very easily they can take control over things and play games with it. And they've been slowly buying up, like you mentioned, the Bush family. These people have been slowly buying up quietly water rights because they know that in the 21st century, water is going to be perhaps the major issue. And I'm not saying that we're not going to have water to drink, but it's going to raise the food prices quite a bit when the amount of irrigated land goes down. Oh, and talking about farming and water, I milk cows, and it takes an incredible amount of water to keep a dairy cow satisfied. And you milk a dairy cow twice a day, and the cow is eating alfalfa. Well, alfalfa takes a lot of water to raise, and then the cow, that milk cow, is drinking a lot. Holstein milk cow produces a lot of milk. It's absolutely incredible. But the amount of water that they calculate that is needed to produce the feed, as well as to satisfy the cow's drinking, is like 2,000 gallons a day for a dairy cow.
Oh my God.
So it takes an incredible. When you drink a glass of milk, I want the audience to remember that that glass of milk took 270 gallons of water to produce. People don't realize how much water it goes to produce beef or milk or some of these other things, and that's where we're going to be hurt when our water supply dries up. Is there'll be water for us to drink probably, unless we have an EMP, and that was the other thing we were going to discuss was an EMP.
An EMP attack.
An attack, or maybe just a natural one.
A natural one.
We almost got fried the other day.
I heard about in your posting. Can you elaborate on it for our audience over here?
Yeah, the sun had this major solar flare, which if the solar flare had been pointed towards the Earth, it would have totally fried everything that's electric or electronic. All of the computers would have been wiped out.
In the world, you're talking about on a global scale.
Yeah, it would have been they would have been totally fried.
What would have happened?
We would have been put back to the Stone Age.
Like a whole Y2K thing scenario.
Yeah, even worse. And we just barely escaped that because the solar flare was pointed in another direction. We got a little dose of it, which affected a few radio signals and stuff, but we didn't get a full dose. And that was just by, in a sense, you could say it was just by accident that it was pointed a different direction. And if it had been, people don't realize what a close call we had. And I wrote this article on Facebook where I talked about how we're so dependent on technology.
We are.
And then this one guy goes, "Oh, Fritz, you're overthinking the problem." No, I'm not overthinking the problem, you idiot. We had a close call where civilization came close to being wiped out, and ignorance is bliss. People don't even realize how close we came. And the problem is nobody is bothering to have backups. It's like this one commentator that was commenting on the EMP that happened, or the solar flare. He said the only people that are prepared to go on are the Amish. Everybody else is going to be wiped out, undoubtedly, because we're having our water pumped by electric pumps, and when those electric pumps, if they would get fried, no more water. I don't know what people are going to do when they don't have electricity.
It's just unreal. But a lot of people are sheeple. They don't believe anything. They're just living in their own bubble worlds, iPhones, iPads, and tablets, and that's about it. And the latest sports, which is all fine and dandy. Sports, I love sports like anybody else, but there's a lot more to it than that. People live in a bubble.
Yeah, they need to think about what would happen if the electric grid went down, the electronics in my iPad got fried. I ride the bus. I sold my car this year.
Okay.
Because I couldn't afford the car insurance.
Yeah, it's expensive.
So I'm riding the bus, and I don't know what it's like in other places, but here in Portland, almost everybody who's riding the bus, you can be sitting there and you can scan the whole bus, and almost everybody's got their nose in their cell phone or their iPad. They're playing games or whatever, and you can't even talk to them.
No, you can't. You can't talk to anybody. It's the same thing in Montreal, Canada. It's like they're all like zombies, all of them. In the morning, noon, and night, and it's like, if you want to ask them, I don't know, something, they'll have headsets or anything, and they look like they're zombies.
Right. Yeah, and they'll be walking along the sidewalk oblivious to the world. You wonder if they're going to get run over or something.
Oh, it's happened. It's happened in Montreal, where a girl was just on her iPhone or whatever you want to call it, one of those smartphones, and she just went right into the subway track and died.
Wow.
It happened about maybe 6-8 months ago. I'm not too sure. She just walked right in, and that was like the big news story, So I make sure if I'm typing that if I'm texting somebody or something, that I'm in a safe area, not just walking on the street. You know, it's very bad. You know, and I think the elites have done this on purpose to get us like glued to these phones. Like that one day when the one world government actually happens and the Antichrist and all of that, we're all going to be glued into one global system, unable to get out of it, because they want to make the phones. Well, the phones, the TVs, the refrigerators, all smart, and probably soon the houses, and God knows what else.
Right. And the government, the U.S. government, the British government, they haven't spent any money to harden the system, to protect it. No, the only thing that they have done is they have passed laws and stuff so that if they think that there's going to be a CME hit, that they will shut down the power grid. A CME is a coronal mass ejection. So if one of these things, like what I was talking about, a solar flare, looks like it's going to fry everything, they'll shut the system down. Well, they might even shut the system down when the solar flare isn't going to do something. How would you know? But what's it going to be like if there's a blackout in a city like New York City, you know, or a city like London? Boy, I don't want to be in New York City when the lights go out.
Exactly. It would make 9/11 look like a piece of cake, like a walk in a park, if that would happen.
Yeah, and if you are walking in the park and you're a woman, you're going to be raped.
Oh God, oh for sure. I could just imagine. I had a question for you. Have you heard something about like the 3 days of darkness that's supposed to happen?
No, tell me about it.
I don't know. It's I heard something about it that in December 20, like before Christmas, there'd be like 2-3 days of darkness. I don't know if it's a rumor or not. Somebody told me about it, and maybe I figured you would know. Maybe you heard about it or something. But I know the Bible does speak about 3 days of darkness. Maybe it's just more fear-mongering. I don't know. But can you imagine if for some reason, because of the sun and the earth, there'd be 3 days of darkness? How sad that would be.
That would be something.
And scary too. Could you imagine? It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and it's total dark. People would panic. I think it would be mass chaos.
Well, what's it like weather-wise there in Montreal? Are you having winter weather?
Well, not quite. We're just having rain and cold weather, but not too cold. We're not having like last year at this. Well, last year we had like -40. Well, I don't know how we say it in the States, but it was -40. It would be a really extreme colds in January, February. But right now it's so. It's maybe average, not too bad.
Yeah, it was really cold today. We've been having warm weather until recently. Speaking about Montreal, Quebec, you know, 25 years ago, I don't know if you knew this or you remember it, but you had your entire power grid knocked out by a CME.
Yes, I think it was 1989. Yes, we had that, and I remember we had power failure back then. I was in high school, last year of high school, I believe, and we had it and it wasn't as bad as now, because now it's like everything's connected even more. You know, like people, oh my God, my computer, I can't go on Facebook, my cell phone. So it would be terrible, but it happened because of the sun back 1988, 89.
Yeah. So there's an example. It does happen, you know, and so people that study these things, they don't say if, they say when. There's at some point when there's a major solar flare, instead of it being pointed away from the planet, it will be pointed towards us. And to me, our government spends so much money on ridiculous stuff, you know, trillions of dollars sending satellites to the you know, Uranus and Pluto and stuff like this. Why not spend some of that money that they waste hardening the electrical system so we could survive one of these things? You know, that to me makes a lot more sense. But as long as everybody's in denial that we're that vulnerable, like some of the people that read my post,
yes,
I guess, you know, we're going to continue la-di-da-di-da, you know, walking along, not paying attention.
Doesn't it get you angry when you have people like this questioning and saying it's not true when you've done your research and it is true?
Well, I'm used to people being off in their own la la land.
Okay. I have questions for you. I have a question, but it's not about this. It's a little topic about mind control. And it says, ask Fritz, where and when are children being mind controlled? Because I know you've written a book about mind control in the past.
Okay. Well, recently I did a post. I did an article about the Diamond Kids, and the Diamond Kids are high-level military people, generals, colonels, are using the Diamond Kids as their sexual playthings, and those kids are getting a lot of their programming done on Air Force bases. Air Force bases have a long history of being used for trauma-based mind control. So that's nothing new, you know. I think almost, at least in the United States, I'm going to, because of the reports I've gotten in from here and there, I don't, the way it looks to me, and it looks to me like across the board, all of these Air Force bases are being used for the trauma-based mind control. NASA is also involved in it. NASA is like a front, you know. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that NASA conducts, and like they wanted to come up with a programming symbol language, and so, you know, if you go in and you look at the projects that NASA finances, the programming symbol language that they use on the trauma-based mind control victims, it was created using NASA finances, you know. So there's a lot that's being done behind the scenes by NASA. You know, people. It sounds good, a banner issue, and then they will run their agenda behind that. So like Christians wanted to evangelize the world, so they came out with this project, Evangelism 2000. And the idea was, back in 1991, 92, is that in the decade of the 90s, they were going to evangelize the entire world. That's why they called it Evangelism 2000. But what was done behind that banner? Well, they had all of these churches send their people out like census takers, and they mapped for the New World Order everybody. You know, they went house by house, and they determined what religion you were, what church you went to, and everything. So they mapped out. They did this mapping called spiritual mapping. They did all of this work for the New World Order. It's kind of, if you were an elitist, you'd kind of laugh, you know, that we're helping with our own enslavement. But that's what they do. They get some banner issue or some good project that everybody would agree to, you know, and then behind that institution, behind that project, that banner issue, they'll run their own agenda. And then it's hard for you to criticize it because everybody's in favor of the front issue, you know, when they're really doing something dirty behind the scenes. So you see a lot of that involved with the mind control too. They have these programs for children that are very intelligent, and they're taking these intelligent children, and behind these programs for fast learners, they're actually doing mind control. So some of these programs that they've set up to supposedly help the children, they're actually using them as fronts to be able to get access to the children and take them places where they're subjected to mind control. They still have their programming centers, their major programming centers, because what they have to do to begin with is when they first shattered the child's mind at 18 months, they have very special high-tech programming centers to do that. But once the initial splitting of the mind is done, where they create multiple personality disorder, then the subsequent programming can be done at less sophisticated places.
Okay, and are you aware that now HARP, the new versions of HARP have mind control in them? They could send signals, make you hear things. You've heard of HARP, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
they've been using HARP for a number of purposes for many years, and I thought everybody had heard about HARP, but maybe not. People are always, you know, that's one of the things is someone all of a sudden wakes up, you know, maybe a month ago, and so they've got a lot to learn. So some of the listeners may not know about HARP. The HARP is up in Alaska, and the HARP facility is right next to a large facility that's got a beast computer that's used specifically for mind control. So yeah, that whole thing is very intimately tied to mind control and controlling people.
exactly, because now they have the HARP that they could actually like shoot like stuff in your mind that you're thinking you're hearing things. They could like whisper in your ear thinking that you're hearing voices.
Well, they give people implants, and those they piggyback off of the cell towers and all these other towers that are around. They have a way of piggybacking off of them to send signals to people that, you know, people that have implants, they will start hearing crazy stuff. And you know, years ago I was trying to figure out, why are they doing this? Why are they playing with people's minds like this? And finally I realized what they're doing is they're setting up the ultimate way to deal with people that they don't like. You know, back in the USSR, if you were somebody who was anti-government, they would send you to the gulag.
Right.
But like in Nazi Germany or some of these other countries, you know, or fascist Italy, if you're arrested and you disappear, then everybody sees that you got arrested, and that kind of backfires on the government. So now, if you're somebody that they don't like, they can put a chip in you, an implant, and then they can beam all this stuff into your head and make you look like you're crazy. And then you discredit yourself, you know.
How did they put the chip in you? Did they have to kidnap you and tie you up and put a chip in you? Could this happen to anybody, any country, or just the States?
Well, it's happening in many countries, but, you know, the United States is one of the worst ones. And they don't necessarily stop with one implant. With some of the people I worked with, they had bodysuits implants. In other words, they had a control implant, usually in the base, you know, back in your neck. And that control implant would be the one that was getting the signals, and then it would send signals to the bodysuit of implants. And so they would like have an implant on somebody's penis that they could shock their penis or something and torture them. Yeah, I know. People were coming to me with all this stuff.
Oh my God.
And one lady that came in for help, she actually got, well, first she went into an anabolic chamber and discovered where the signals were coming from. and then she actually managed to get the implant. She dug it out, and so this stuff's happening. It's scandalous. It's scandalous what the New World Order's doing.
The thing is, how do we know? Like, how can we tell if we have an implant or not? We wouldn't remember. Let's say they planted one in me or Mario. Would we somehow know, or we wouldn't even?
Well, if it's RFID chip, which is just tracking you, you wouldn't know.
Okay.
But if you had one of these chips that are sending signals to your head, voices, you would definitely know.
Right.
Because what they're doing with those, because like I say, people were coming to me for help, and we were, after a while it becomes apparent to the person that's being victimized this way that there's shifts, and some of the shifts are being used by AI, artificial intelligence. They weren't always being contacted by people that were controllers. Sometimes the controllers would turn things over to the computer. But if you have an RFID, and there's 27 million Americans that have gotten those, you're not going to know. Because we got these crooked doctors that when you go in for surgery, they just put these in, and lo and behold, you're being tracked. Our military's putting them into people. So there's a lot of, and if you're under trauma-based mind control, for sure your programmer's going to put in an RFID chip in you too. So there's a lot of people walking around already that they can monitor where they're going. Not only that, but look at the modern cars. The modern cars are tracked too. So they're keeping track of us in so many different ways.
The thing is, I do wonder if, because they're able to track us, all of us down, do they target specific people, like people that like talk bad against the New World Order, or is this like people higher ups, like whistleblower types?
Well, they've not touched me, and I know a number of other people that are similar to me, and they haven't touched us.
Right.
But the kind of people that they do take advantage of are people that don't have a support system, and like single women.
Okay.
Oh, watch out! They're very vulnerable. But if you have a support system and you're wide awake, they don't do anything to people like myself. I don't mean that they don't try to tamper with my life. They indeed try to tamper with my life, but they haven't tried to chip me or anything like that. But I have known some people that they thought were anti-government, that didn't have a support system, that they did grab and chip. So that's why I encourage everybody to keep a support system. It's like when they put me in prison, I was in contact with people on the outside every day. I was writing letters constantly. I
remember.
And, when they threw me into solitary, I think the 5 months that I was in solitary, I wrote something like 800 letters. I wrote down on paper every time I wrote a letter, so I knew, when I'd written such and such person. I still have those, but I wrote an incredible amount of letters. I was always in contact with the street. And then one time they tried to move me secretly. They came in the middle of the night and grabbed me to move me somewhere else. And people were wondering what happened to Fritz, because I was in constant contact. So then they started bugging the Federal Bureau of Prisons. What happened to Fritz? Where is he? What have you done with him? They got the the prison people upset because they weren't going to let me just disappear like that, you know. So I was glad that I had a support system.
It must have been hell being in solitary. What is it like? You're just like in a room, locked, no light, nothing, just with a toilet. That's it.
Well, you know, everything in life, you can deal with it, and the thing of it is that most people go through life never being challenged and getting everything like they want. I did really well in solitary, but I did have some moments where it was really unpleasant. There were a few days there because they threw me in the middle of winter and they didn't heat my cell, so my cell was very cold. Right. And then I had a T-shirt. I didn't have winter clothes, and so I didn't have adequate clothes. And they come by and they knock on your cell door and they say, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "Could you please allow me to get some clothes out of my property? I'm freezing." You know, and the doctor, the health people that came by to ask their stupid question, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm freezing."
Right.
"No, I'm going to freeze to death in here. I need some more clothes. Can you please allow me to get some clothes out of my property?" And they said, "Being cold is not a medical problem." And I was thinking, what? People die of freezing.
Right. Yes, of course.
But anyway, I was laying paralyzed in this cold weather for several days, and that was a really rough time for me. But I survived it.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's horrible that they do that. And I bet you some prisoners that really did murders and everything and rape and whatever, they get like they have it easy in jail. Some of them, it's like going to I don't know, a camp of some kind, like being in a hotel or something.
Oh yeah. You know, there is no justice or fairness. It's pretty scandalous. I've seen plenty of scandalous activity, but and it's just like this woman that got murdered recently. You know, her killers, whoever they are, the people that were arrested for the murder, they got a couple of them. The ones that got the worst sentence, I think, got 14 months.
14.
That's for murder? Come on.
That is ridiculous.
Let's get real here. What in the heck is going on? You know what I mean?
For murder, yeah, and somebody for, like, I don't know, not paying the bill, the traffic tickets could get like 2 years or something.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
You know, it's scandalous what happens. If you're somebody who's connected to the elite, you gotta get out of jail free card. And then if you're someone like me, you're gonna get the full effect of whatever they can give you.
Oh gosh, I have a question for you, Fritz. The Freemasons. It's been a lot of people have been asking Freemasons. What is your take on the Freemasons?
Well, you know, a lot of people have the misconception that the Freemasons started out as a Christian organization and that Albert Pike perverted them. No, they were never a Christian organization. They have been involved with the occult from the start, and then it wasn't but they got started in 1717, the modern version of it. I mean, there's a lot of different rites, types of Freemasonry. You know, so when I say rites, R-I-T-E-S, rites,
yes.
types of Freemasonry. But I'm talking about the Grand Lodge got started in 1717. But by the time of around our American Revolution, the Illuminati started taking the lodges over and Illuminizing them. And so during the entire history of our country, as a country, the Masonic lodges have been Illuminized. They've been functioning as the glove. If the Illuminati is the hidden hand, Freemasonry is the glove on it. And the Illuminati send their orders through the Grand Lodge, the United Grand Lodge there in London, to the different religious people like the Grand Mufti and the head rabbi in Jerusalem and Protestant leaders. These people all get their orders, the Pope, they all get their orders through the United Grand Lodge in London. And I know a lot of people want to think that the Catholic Church is running everything. It isn't. The Illuminati send them instructions. And, you know, again, people want to think that the Jesuits control everything. They don't. If you go back and look at the Jesuits, when the Jesuits first got started, the Pope was against the Jesuits and he outlawed them, Pope Clement.
Right.
And
Okay.
he rescued the Jesuits from being destroyed. The head of Freemasonry, and he gave them asylum. So the Jesuits were given asylum by the Freemasons, Freemasons. So, you know, and the Jesuits and the Freemasons work hand in hand together. But Freemasonry still is very powerful. It's lost a lot of its.
Luster.
It doesn't have the membership that it used to. It's lost a lot of its membership because people don't want to go get involved in the ritual and the mummery of Freemasonry. But it hasn't lost its power, and there are rites of Freemasonry that are very satanic, and there are boxes within boxes within boxes. There are secret organizations within Freemasonry. They use Freemasonry as a front. So there's a lot going on there, and you know, a common you know, first-degree Freemason or second-degree Freemason, he might sincerely say, you know, I don't find anything wrong with the organization. But anybody who's a Christian, if they're spirit-led Christian, should know right from the start that Freemasonry is not good.
Because I know some Freemasons, or they claim that they are, and they've told me that it's all bogus. When I say that Freemason, they worship Lucifer. They go, I watch too much television.
Well, you know, some of them may be saying that.
The lower level, though.
Some of them may be lying.
Right.
Because I have had, across the board, every Freemason I have met has been willing to lie about stupid stuff. Incredible. You know, this guy that was going to my church, his wife would bring flowers every Sunday, and I went to his house and I saw this Masonic magazine on his table, and it had a picture of Albert Pike, and I go, oh, Albert Pike, who was like the Pope of Freemasonry. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, Albert Pike, he was a Freemason. And then he goes and he says to me, Albert Pike, there was no Freemason named Albert Pike. I mean, that's really stupid. I mean, right there on his magazine is a picture of Albert Pike, and he's going to lie to me that Albert Pike, that he's never heard of him, and that there's no such thing as a Mason named Albert Pike. Why would someone, and he's supposed to be a Christian brother, and he's just, and time again, I've had them lie about stupid stuff like that.
Was he a high level?
Sure, pardon me?
Was he a high level Freemason or just a normal level?
I don't think he was high level.
Right.
I don't think he was above the third degree. This was many years ago when this happened, and I don't even remember. If I knew what degree was, I've forgotten. But I don't think he was high level. I don't think he was a Shriner.
Oh.
But they've changed the rules. You had to be a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Freemason to become a Shriner, and now they're letting the lower degrees become Shriners because they're having a problem recruiting people.
How do you get recruited? Like how do they find you or you find them?
Kind of a, you know, if you are interested and you talk to a Freemason, well, then they will ask you, you know. But you have to be, it's kind of a combination. You have to show some interest, and they have to show some interest.
Okay, so it's not just anybody that can join.
Oh, no.
Okay, I see, yeah. And what do they do at the lower levels? Because I've heard of Freemasons, they're builders.
Oh, well, the first thing that happens when you want to join Freemasonry is you sign something that says that you want to be initiated into the mysteries. And if you read all of the great philosophers, the great Masonic philosophers, the great Masonic writers, you know, Manly P. Hall, Albert Pike, and Clymer, and blah, 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 all of these people, they repeatedly say that the mysteries of Freemasonry are the mystery religions of the ancient world. So the very first thing that you do to become a Freemason is you ask to be initiated into the mystery religions. Now, I ask you, Robert, can a Christian be initiated into the mystery religion?
No, of course not. It's occultic. It's occultic.
Well, yeah, that's what Christ was against, you know. You know, right there you're denying Christ. So any Christian who's spirit-led should question, what? I'm going to be initiated into the mysteries. And then the next thing that you do is you take an oath on penalty of a gruesome death that you will ever conceal and never reveal the secrets of Freemasonry. Okay, well, why has this organization got to hide what it's doing? Why does it have to keep things secret?
I think that
and how can you, as a Christian, pledge yourself on penalty of a gruesome death that you're going to deceive people about this organization?
A gruesome death? Like
no Christian can pledge himself, take an oath that he's going to deceive people. So the second thing you do to become a Freemason is diametrically opposed to what Christ is all about.
And one of the gruesome deaths that they could do is slit your throat, cut your throat.
Yeah, they have. Well, at every different level that you go up Freemasonry, you take an oath on some different kind of, you know, they'll quarter you or they'll hang you or they'll do this. I mean, by the time you reach the upper level, they could kill you in so many different ways, you know. It's ridiculous. Who knows which way they're going to try to kill you. You know, they did kill Morgan, and that created a scandal.
Morgan.
They killed Joseph Smith Jr. He raised his hands and was giving the Masonic distress symbol sign to the Masons that actually killed them. He was actually trying to get some mercy from them, but they killed him because when he created Mormonism, he was creating an alternate Masonic lodge system, and they didn't like that, so they took him out. So yeah, they do kill some people every now and then, but not very often.
But so every Freemason will deny it.
Oh yeah. I am absolutely amazed. You know, I can't sit here. We don't have time for me to give you all the times that Freemasons have lied to me.
Right, yes.
They sit there and lie over the most stupidest things, and I know what the truth is, and yet they'll lie over the most trivial, stupid things. There was this one guy whose father was a Freemason, and he told his family that the Masonic lodge that he went to was just a bunch of carpenters and stone layers, and they just got together and drank beer and everything. He totally lied to his family for decades about what the Freemasons were all about. Unbelievable.
Could women be Freemason also?
Well, there's a Masonic branch of Freemasonry. There are a whole number of, you know, Daughters of the Nile.
Okay.
You know, there are Eastern Star. Those are the lodges for the women.
Okay, because I've...
There's something like 500 different women Masonic organizations.
Okay, because
they've created an incredible number of. it seemed like when you go back and you look at the spin-offs that Freemasonry has done, there's actually hundreds of them. It's mind-boggling.
Okay, so women are in there, because I've heard that women are also in there, and they worship Lucifer. That's who their god is, right? That's who they have to pledge at the higher levels.
Well, if you read Albert Pike says the energy that energizes the Masonic Lodge is from Lucifer. You can read it, and if you when you get to the 32nd degree, they give you Morals and Dogma, which is written by Albert Pike, and in that book he repeatedly refers to Lucifer being the control and the energy behind the lodge. And Albert Pike was like the grand pope of Freemasonry, you know. His opinion ought to count for something. And if you go to the Scottish Rites Temple in Washington, D.C., they got a big statue of Albert Pike. And if you read their Masonic magazines, they're always talking about Albert Pike. So when they tell you that they don't know who Albert Pike is and he's a nobody and his book's not important, that's a lie.
That certainly is a lie, but I don't know if it's them that they think that Lucifer is good God and Jesus God that we know is the bad one. I think that's what the elites do believe, that Lucifer is the good one and God himself, Yahweh, is the bad one.
Well, that would be Illuminati elite.
Okay.
But, you know, when you're a Freemason, they can't, except for the rituals and stuff like that, they kind of let you have your own beliefs. They're not going to insist that you have a particular set of beliefs. It's real eclectic. You know, that's why some people continue to be Christians while they're Freemasons. The point is if you're a spirit-led Christian, you've got to come out from amongst that mixture. You can't sit there and be a Christian, mix your Christian faith with all this occult paganism.
Okay, and I have a few questions for you before we close the show. Are Rosicrucians Freemasons?
Rosicrucians?
Yes.
No, well, you know, there's a whole history behind Rosicrucianism, and there's in my Be Wise as Serpents book, I discuss 4 different independent separate groups that are Rosicrucians. So you got AMORC down in Southern California. I mean, that's where their headquarters are, which is a real low-level, you know, large membership type of Rosicrucians. But within Freemasonry, they also have a Masonic Rosicrucian group, and I mentioned that in my Bloodlines of the Illuminati book. So, so there are different groups of Rosicrucians. There's one that's headquartered in Switzerland, which is real high-level occult. So when you use the term Rosicrucian, it's sort of like using the term Christian. There's different Christian denominations, and so you can't. There's some things that you can't generalize, but one thing you can say is the Rosicrucians are they like to say that they're Christians, but they're more like a New Age or an occultic type Christianity. There's a group in Quakerstown, Pennsylvania, a group of Rosicrucians, and I had a neighbor lady who was a member of those. She was an old elderly lady, and she had a complete library of all of Clymer's books. He was the guy who was the head of it.
Okay.
And she let me look at her entire library. So, you know, and they called themselves Illuminati, and they used Illuminati symbology, and I read all of their stuff, and, you know, they can call themselves whatever they want. They can say they're Christians, but they're not Christians as a follower of Christ would, would understand Christianity.
Final question, Fritz. What are your plans for the new year?
Oh, wow. I'm just taking a day at a time, and it's kind of hard for me to make plans, but one thing that I am hoping that Lord willing, I'll be able to do is go to Philadelphia to the Free Your Mind conference. I was there a couple years ago and met a lot of people, and I was the last speaker on the third day, and my talk was well received, and I'm just looking forward to going back and meeting a lot of new people and seeing a lot of old faces, and they've invited me back. So that's the only speaking engagement that I have planned at this time for this coming year. But, Lord willing, maybe I'll be able to do some other speaking engagements, because it would be good to get out and do like a tour of speaking engagements.
Like you did in the 90s.
There's a lot of people out there that would like to see me and hear me speak and meet me. And I hope that the Lord provides an opportunity for me to do that.
And where can we get your books? Because people want to know where we could get, like, White Serpents and the Bloodlines of the Illuminati books.
They should go to my website, pentracks.com. That's PENTRACKS.com. Pentracks.com. Pen like you write with a pen. Tracks like a bunny rabbit makes in the snow. Pentracks.com is my website, and you can see what books are available, and you can buy them through Pentracks.
Is it also available on Amazon and InfoWars, I believe, some of them?
Oh, my Bloodlines of the Illuminati book is available through InfoWars. Some of the stuff that's up on Amazon.com, other people are printing my books and selling them. People have taken my books and put them up on the internet for free, which is a copyright violation.
Yes, it is.
A lot of people are not respecting my copyright. In fact, recently there was a guy that was selling my books, and then he was asked, well, who wrote this? And he goes, well, I don't know. And then, what are you doing selling this book? Well, it's public information. Yeah, right. It's not public. Those are that material's copyrighted, and I put a lot of time and effort and money into writing those big books. So I hope that people will buy them from me instead of stealing them.
For sure. Well, all right, Fritz. I guess we'll be closing the show for tonight, and I want to thank you. We want to thank you very much for coming on the show tonight, and we'd love to have you back soon.
Well, thanks, Robert. I always enjoy being on the show with you guys. I appreciate you giving me the time and the chance to talk to your audience. And
anytime. And we do hope that that you come back on the show soon, and this show is going to be recorded. So once it's recorded, it's going to be on YouTube. I'll send you the link. You can put it everywhere that you want to if you want to get the information out.
Great. Thanks, Robert.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll talk soon again, Fritz. Have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, Robert.
What a wonderful show we had tonight with Fritz Springmeier.
Oh yeah, it's always special having Fritz on.
I mean, we talked about so much subject: global water shortages, EMP attacks, Freemasons, rituals, you name it. It's just unreal. And this show's going to be recorded later on, and you guys could watch it. And don't forget to share this video. Share everywhere. Like that, we get the information out to the world. It's very important. That's why we're here for you folks.
All right, so that's it. We're out of here, right?
And God willing, we'll see you next week on the MnRTV live show. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Love you all.
We're very glad that you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye. as we march on out.